You know, whenever I talk about my core philosophy towards the world, many would probably describe it as very nihilistic. Now, I don't know much about nihilism itself, I only know a very rudimentary basic knowledge, but from my understanding, it's simply acknowledging that all of this is meaningless and that, we're all going to die eventually. And so, it changes your actions towards the world in knowing that. And I would say that certainly describes my worldview in many ways. I realize that, yes, we are all going to die, and yes, this all means nothing. It's just a matter of, as I said in my What's the Point video, enjoying yourself enough until you eventually burn out. And so, people are worried about this many a time. People worry about what this mindset can do to a person's psyche. They worry about how this is going to pan out for the long term. They believe, well, if you're nihilistic, then you're simply a murderer. But a murderer has the weight in its meaning for a reason. It's because of the social consequences of that word. Society decides what a murderer is, and they decide what a murderer means within that society, and so people don't want to be murderers because society has told them not to, because society has brought them up with these morals that tell you to not be a murderer. If you were brought up in a society that told you to be a murderer, then you would be a murderer, because that's all you know, that's all your psychology has taught you. But because society says not to be one, we automatically scoff at the idea of murdering someone. We see that idea and we go, ugh, terrible, horrifying, I hate it, and it makes us emotional. But the reason why it makes us emotional and it makes us disgusted is because our psychology has embedded this into our minds. And so, what I'm getting at here is that me, as a nihilistic person, I realize the social consequences of murdering someone else. And so I would never do that because me, as a person who wants to live on, because, I don't want to die yet, who wants to live on, I realize those social consequences, and I don't do that because my friends would forever see me as a different person, and that affects me. It affects me to know that my friends see me as this horrible person because society has told them that that would be horrible. And I mean, I agree with that. I think it's horrible, but the only reason I think it's horrible is because society has told me that, and so, under this mindset, let's say that, I was just so nihilistic that I just went out and I shot a bunch of people. I would forever be viewed as a monster within the media, within my friend circles. Now, let's say I got away, because the only reason I would ever want to murder somebody is if I could get away with it. And, let's say I got away with it. None of my friends want to talk to me anymore. I can't talk to my friends anymore because I've now done this horrible thing and people are looking for me. And so that is going to fundamentally change my life forward. It's going to ruin my life, and I want to enjoy my life. I want to be able to live comfortably and watch anime. And if I want to watch anime, then I'm not going to murder somebody. It's just that simple. And not even going there, like, even as a nihilistic person, my philosophies are what they are, but my emotions are another thing, and our emotions judge all of our actions. Our emotions play the fiddle in terms of how we act. Like, you can't not have an emotion, and have that, dictate how you act. Like, even being logical and even, not having emotions in the first place, ultimately the fact that you don't have those emotions will dictate how you act. So those emotions still are playing the fiddle inherently. And so, knowing this, the fact that I feel pain when I see others in pain, when I even remotely hurt someone emotionally, I will feel bad for it. That is something that I will feel bad for. And so, when I do that, You know, when I see that person in pain, and when I take the blunt of that, um, I feel bad and it makes me upset, and I don't want to feel upset. Like, I don't want to see these people in pain, because the act of putting them in pain puts me in pain. And pain is bad. My philosophy says that pain is bad. So, why would I do that? Why would I do that when I have these emotions, you know? Even though I realize everything is meaningless, just because it's meaningless doesn't mean I don't have my emotions. My mindset is to enjoy myself before I die, and to have goals that allow me to enjoy myself further. And, you know, I'll die eventually, etc., but I still want to enjoy myself, and putting people in pain is not going to make me enjoy myself. The only meaning there is enjoyment. And so, why would I do that? Why would I want to put someone in pain if that's not going to make me enjoy myself? I would hate doing that because I hate hurting people. So, this whole idea of, oh, if you're nihilistic, you're just automatically a murderer because everything is meaningless, is just bullshit and is stupid. Sure, it works that way for some people. Those people were going to be murderers anyway. It's just nihilism was the thing that pushed them over the edge. And in my case specifically, I believe that a lot of people tend to look at nihilism and they say, well, everything is meaningless, and so if everything is meaningless, why don't you just go on a mass shooting? But they don't look at the greater nuances of who we are as human beings. They don't look at the meaning that we create in ourselves. They don't look at the meaning that we create as individuals when we go throughout our day-to-day. And that meaning has an impact. It has value. It has material effects on the world, because even though I realize as a materialist that nihilism is just true, I also need to have some form of meaning, some form of purpose in order to keep myself going, because human beings need that. Human beings need a form of purpose, as I said in my What's the Point vlog. And so, I end up creating those things through the little things throughout the day. You know, my purpose is making YouTube videos. My purpose is making my partners happy. My purpose is watching anime. Those purposes are simple, but they work for me. They work for me until I die. And so, yeah, have purposes, I have emotions, and I have social consequences. These things all keep me from becoming a murderer. I don't know why these people who are anti-nihilism and anti, you know, meaningless world, etc., are so dense.